Most days in Southern California, we are under what's known as a westerly wind flow, which means the air comes from the west. And what is to the west of us in Southern California? The cool, moist Pacific Ocean, which means on most days we get a cool, moist breeze that blows in and fills the valleys, the canyons, and the LA basin with this cool, moist air. But there is a famous Southern California wind. So famous that it shows up in pretty much every meteorology textbook, every physical geography textbook, every earth science textbook. It's our wind, the Santa Ana winds. There you go. Well, here's what they are. So Santa Ana winds are always dry. Okay, that means the air is not going to feel wet, it's going to feel dry. They are often warm, not always, but most of the time they're warm, that blow into Southern California from the east and northeast. And they're the result of a large high pressure system to the east and or northeast of Southern California. In other words, centered somewhere near or over the Four Corners states, which are Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, and Colorado. So in other words, a big high pressure system is going to set up over those states. Take a look at this map. This is why these states are called the Four Corner states, because Utah, Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico all come together at right angles, right there where I circled. There's those states. And what happens is a large high pressure system sets up, for example, right there. And remember, in the northern hemisphere, air circulates clockwise around a high pressure system. This is going to force the winds to blow from a particular direction. And in the case of Southern California, you can see where Los Angeles is at. The yellow arrow is indicating that the air is going to be blowing into Southern California, not from the west, but from, in this case, the northeast. But as long as it's a kind of northerly, northeasterly, or easterly wind, this for Southern California is the Santa Ana conditions. So what is to the east and northeast of Southern California? Take a look at that map. The Mojave Desert. Well, the air, the atmosphere, takes on the characteristics of whatever it's over. If it's over something that's hot and dry, the air becomes hot and dry. If it's over something that's cool and wet, the air becomes cool and wet. Well, the desert does not necessarily mean hot all the time, but the desert does mean dry. That's what desert is about. So if the air is going to start out over the top of the Mojave Desert, we already know it's going to start out dry. And then the air blows like that, like those arrows are indicating, into Southern California. So what do you look for when you have Santa Ana conditions? You want high pressure. Now, there can be low pressure Santa Ana conditions, but not now for this class. You want to learn about that. Take the Introduction to Meteorology and Climatology class, but we're not going to talk about them. We want the winds coming out of a northerly, northeasterly, or easterly direction. We want the relative humidity to be low. Now, relative humidity is going to be something that I discuss in the next lab. Nevertheless, some of the basic principles you can get. Relative humidity is basically describing the moisture content of the air. In other words, how wet or humid the air is. Does the air feel really dry, or does the air feel really wet, or something in between? Low relative humidity means drier air. High relative humidity means wetter or moister air. Sorry, I tripped over that word. So we're looking for low relative humidity, in other words, dry air. This chart comes directly from the lab. Take a look at it. Notice over here on the left-hand side, what we're going to be looking at is days going from October 3rd to October 14th with AM and PM, morning and afternoon conditions. Then across the top, we have pressure in millibars, temperature, wind speed and direction, and relative humidity. Okay, and those are columns going down, indicating each one of those things. And notice there's two numbers or two indications based on whether it's AM or PM. I've already begun to graph some of this for you on this particular graph. So let's take a look here and see what we have. This is all coming off of this graph. Okay, so take a look. Notice we have October 3rd and 4th already graphed for you. And if you look, let's start with air pressure in millibars. Notice that for AM on October 3rd, it's 1,012 millibars. PM, it's 1,011 millibars. Then on the 4th, it's 1,011 millibars, then 1,009 millibars. When we connect these, you can see there's a downward trend in air pressure. Then notice over here with temperature, notice that on October 3rd, in the morning, it's 64 degrees. In the afternoon, it's 76. Then on October 4th, it's 59 degrees in the morning, then 69 degrees. Whoops, I'm losing my cursor. Sorry about that. In the afternoon. Then let's come down here. You can see wind speed and direction. I'm just putting the direction there. You're going to have to interpolate the speed yourself as you're looking at this chart and you're looking at this after you graph this whole thing out. Notice down at the bottom on the 3rd, we have southwest winds in the morning and then southeast winds in the afternoon. And then on the 4th, east, southeast winds and then south winds. And then notice relative humidity. You can see that over here on October 3rd, the relative humidity in the morning is 68%. Then it's 50% in the afternoon, so it went down. Then you can see in the morning on the 4th, it's 72%. In the afternoon, it's 97%. So relative humidity is going up. Notice there's some kind of trend here. You know, we've got air pressure going down. It looks like air temperature is going down, but relative humidity is going up. You can see the winds. So what you do is if you graph this whole thing out right here, using the information you find right there, once you connect all the dots, then you're going to answer some questions about when the Santa Ana event is and how you know that over those days from October 3rd to October 14th, there was indeed a Santa Ana event.